All right, hello there, YouTube, and welcome back to the one thing that I still grind these days. The only thing I still wake up and rise and grind for. Path of Exile. And so today I'm going to be talking about, this is going to be a shorter video. I was initially kind of debating on what I was going to do as far as a showcase goes. I wanted to make something, I wanted to make at least, one, maybe two videos for the Legacy of Phrecia event. Mostly because these classes can still be accessed both obviously through the event right now and then as well if you make a private league. But I decided as well I'm not going to play this character too much more. This character is incredibly strong and it is still extremely solid, but ultimately I really wanted to do some more wacky things rather than things I knew were going to be solid. I'm not too worried about making it through to endgame and like trying to fight Ubers or something in the event. I just don't care. Do I know that this build can do it? Absolutely. But I just do not care enough. I want to do some weird, wacky things instead. So, what is this character? This is, as you see, we're only level 88, Bruised. Level 88, this is a BAMA, Servant of Arakaali character. BAMA is Blink Arrow, Mirror Arrow, so it is these two guys right here. So these are just your fellow compatriots, your compadres, your be-all, end-all. So, also, you get to make more doggies. That's great. But this is very much so just a very, like I said, it's going to be a very kind of generic overview of the character. I'll talk about ways to improve the character if you were going to be moving further along than I am going to with this character. Like I said, I'll probably stop here, maybe do a few more levels with this character. But for the most part, this is sort of where I'm going to stop him and make a different character, just because I want to have some more fun and just kind of do some weird, wacky things we have access to. So normally I would do a map showcase as well. I'm not going to do that because I feel like at this point BAMA is well enough known to be an extremely solid build. But basically all that you do is you run around and you push your boys down. You know, maybe I will just open a map just for the quickness of it. I think I have one right here. Yeah. So I'll at least throw in a quick map, but basically all that you're doing is this. It is literally the smoothest leveling experience that I pretty much have ever had, both on both versions of this build that I've done. I've done an elemental version, and I have done, this is now the chaos version. But yeah, as you see here, that's all that we're doing. We're just putting out our guys and letting them go to work. The big activator, the big thing that really makes a difference, and it's when this build will really open up, is definitely going to be when you get bombarding clones. So like I'm not even going to do too much more of this map. I just kind of want to showcase it a little bit. But yeah, so that's literally it. You get to be extremely safe. It's extremely good damage. And with Servant of Arakaali, it's also just a crazy good one. So like I said, I'm not going to do too much more. Also, sorry, this Spectre is really loud. I don't necessarily like how loud he is, but it is what it is. So with that, so like I said, Mirror Arrow of Bombarding or Blink Arrow of Bombarding, it doesn't matter. What I will say is you can have it on either Blink or Mirror Arrow, that doesn't matter, but what does matter is that you can only have one Bombarding clones. You cannot have both of these be Bombarding. They will overwrite each other. This says you can only have a maximum of 3 clones that fire arrow upwards, and it does mean that for both Mirror and Blink, so you can't have them both be Bombarding. But yeah, with that though, that's literally it. We're literally just running around and we're just placing these guys. So I would say, as far as leveling goes, you actually get access to Mirror and Blink Arrow very early. I think they're level like 10 or 12 gems to start. So very early on, you can start throwing these in. I think literally as long as you have a Bombarding clones ready, you can start doing this immediately. Like, it is crazy how strong this skill is. And it really is just an extremely smooth experience leveling the entire way through, and you could literally just use the Bombarding and be good to go. If you do the prismatic version as well, that's also fine. The prismatic clones also do a ton of damage, and you could absolutely level with those guys as well. But since we're doing Servant of Arakaali, we get much more bonuses for chaos damage specifically, which therefore kind of just leads us to going into the more physical side of the skill, and kind of more into chaos damage stuff in general. So what are we taking with our Ascendancy? I'll go over gear and links and all that kind of stuff in just a minute here, but let's look at the Ascendancy itself and kind of talk about the tree and other potential areas that you should be going next. So skill tree wise and Ascendancy wise, the first thing that I recommend taking is the Envy. Envy is such a huge damage boost, especially early on when you first get it as your Ascendancy. Like, it's you and your allies get a bunch more chaos damage with your attacks. It is an extremely good aura, and you just get it for free. And especially for your first lab, absolutely recommend taking this guy here. Very, very strong, very good. Helps you clear a lot faster. You notice you just an immediate spike in your damage. When I was leveling this character initially as League Start, I actually was doing Scourge Arrow. And as soon as I got this, I noticed my own damage itself also just skyrocketed, and I was able to clear until I was able to finally get my hands on Bombarding Clones. After that, though, we're definitely taking Skin Crawlers just for right now, the way I am set up currently, and until you're kind of able to get yourself in a Monomu's gaze, I would say you're less worried about the poison. The poison is nice. It still will give you extra damage that you're dealing, but it's not really that big of a deal until you're able to get yourself in a Monomu's gaze. And so what's a bigger deal is the inflict withered on hit. These guys, since they hit so often and they're really quick, you can then just be applying very big stacks of withered to enemies really fast. And after that, we'll be taking Neurotoxin for the more multi, and they get critical strike equal to your weapon. That's why also we're using a spine bow. Spine bows have a really good critical strike chance, base critical strike chance, that is, at 6.5%, and attacks per second at 1.4. The only one that's faster, I believe, is, I believe the only one that's faster that has, no, it doesn't even have a higher crit. The only one that's faster is the, like the short bow. They're 1.5, but I believe they have 5% crit chance. It's either 5 or 5.5, something like that. Regardless, we're worried about the top numbers there. So attacks per second and crit strike. Spine bow is your best bet. Gives our minions a pretty damn good chance to crit as is, and then big multi as they're applying their own withers to it, so it lets them hit really hard. And then for fourth ascend, I took Aspect of the Spider here. Aspect of the Spider just increases the damage they take when they have the spider's web on them. It's something that happens just passively as you are around enemies. It just spreads the webs out. It also hinders enemies, so it's also good to just slow things down. For a little while when I was making this character, I've actually never done something with raised spiders, so I actually did use raised spiders, and they're fine. The problem with raised spiders is that they don't have, you can't apply any skill gems to them, so there's no melee splash, there's no multi-strike, there's no nothing, so they kind of just don't clear that well. They're nice for you know, setting up more poisons and more withers on the enemy faster, but ultimately I just felt like they weren't necessary, and so I wound up dropping them for the level 30 aspect of the spider instead. It's a fun little thing to run around with, but ultimately, especially for the BAMA setup, I definitely don't think that these guys are worth it. But if you want to play around with some spiders for a while, go for it. They are certainly just an option that's there. But like I said, I do not think that they are any better than Thread Spinner. So with that though, tree-wise, on the start here, just kind of did some initial stuff. Like I said, I was Scourge Arrow to start, so I had to do some weird things. But we would start down here. I pushed over towards the more skill duration and also towards Avatar of the Hunt first. And the main reason for that is for the Blink Arrow and Mirror Arrow have 100% increased cooldown recovery rate. They already cool down relatively quickly, and actually their quality also gives them more cooldown recovery. But just having that to be even faster, especially for the regular clones, Mirror Arrow of Bombarding, they actually last for like, see, as you can see on the fourth line there, 31.9 seconds right now. I believe that they last somewhere around like 25-30 seconds as a base, so they last for quite a while. But the regular blink arrows, your regular arrow guys, only last 4.78 seconds, so they might last for a much shorter time. So having the faster cooldown recovery to be able to just constantly churn out new, especially blink arrow guys to support is nice. And then we want the more skill effect duration, of course, because regardless of everything, we want them to last longer. Also, this also affects our Spirit Offering and our Despair effect lingering on enemies, so that's great for us. So I went over here and got all this good stuff first. Took Charisma afterwards, and then kind of, I didn't take this Revenge of the Hunted until recently. If you feel like you need more life, absolutely go for it. But I otherwise just started making my way up towards Fearsome Force, because like I said, you're going to be hitting towards crit eventually. It'll take a little while, but you'll hit towards it. So having this crit wheel here is also a very big damage increase. Come down here for Righteous Army and Redemption early. Actually, mostly Redemption, and then take Redemption, get Sovereignty and Purity of Flesh, and then come over here and take Spiritual Command and Sacrifice. Actually, I don't even take Sacrifice for a little while, and then make your way down towards Grave Pact for the chance to deal double damage. Also, though, these small wheels here give your minions accuracy, And unless you have a way to give them accuracy early through like a Ghastly Eye Jewel or something, that's what I would recommend probably making your way towards first. Spiritual Command, though, does also help because it helps you get your own... it helps your own attack speed with pulling out your clones faster, so it's very nice to actually have as a benefit early on. Increased effective offerings, of course, and then Minions Leech. That's mostly to keep your Spectres alive. It's mostly helpful for keeping Spectres alive, but otherwise that's about it. And then you know, Righteous Army, other standard stuff. I was gonna come up here and take Death Attunement next. If I was going to anoint something, I would be absolutely anointing Enduring Bond. I don't think it's worth the points to actually come over to Enduring Bond and take all of it. Like, the small nodes aren't that big of a deal. It's 12%. It's overall 24% increased minion duration, but I don't think it matters as much as just anointing Enduring Bond. So I would just anoint Enduring Bond. And then if I was going to level further, like I said, I'm taking Death Attunement for sure. I might just be filling out with some more life and defenses otherwise. You know, maybe coming down to combat stamina or something. Maybe even if I really wanted to get spicy with it, maybe you could think about respecking some of the tree overall and instead going into a minion cluster jewel. That's would probably be your biggest source of power. But otherwise, you have other options. You could take Jewel Socket here. You could instead take Mage Bane here and just try to get yourself some more dexterity. Maybe get yourself the Evasion Mastery here. Take some aura increased effect. So there's still plenty of areas to go. There's still plenty of ways to go about it. If you're worried about your minions dying, you can take Grave Intentions. I don't think you have to worry too much about... It's mostly, again, it's mostly Spectres, so that's kind of it. I can't remember if Corruption applies to Wither that your minions put on. If it does, you can take Corruption. If it doesn't, then ignore it. I can't remember off the top of my head, so that is my bad. But yeah, and then... You could maybe, if you wanted to as well, take the minions have increased area of effect. That would be good for your other guys, but again, ultimately that's all up to you. Or accuracy rating, if you check their stats and they have poor accuracy, you could certainly take that. Or you could just take some more jewel slots if you really wanted to, and you know, that's a jewel slot right there for a Ghastly Eye. That's a Ghastly Eye right there. Whatever else you want to do. So there's sky's the limit as far as where you want to go, what you want to do here. And then, yeah, as far as the actual skill gem it goes, we have added chaos damage. Ideally, you get an awakened added chaos damage. We have minion damage. Ideally, awakened minion damage support. Fresh meat, because fresh meat is fantastic for this skill. Because they just get a ton more crit and crit multi, and it's for their 10% of their duration. But you're summoning them so frequently that fresh meat tends to be up a vast majority of the time, if not constantly. So... that is great. I think fresh meat probably is less good on your blink arrows because it'll only last 10% of their total time, which their total time is not nearly as high as the total time of your bombarding clones. So I have fresh meat here, but I'd probably drop this, and I probably will in the POB. And then we're using chance to poison because, again, as good as the poison is, if you get a Monomu's Gaze, also would be good. But just the more flat added chaos damage, fantastic. And then we're rounding it off with Void Manipulation, just to give us even more chaos damage. We don't care about elemental damage at all. We want to be trying to scale away from it. And then over here we have Raise Spectre with Raise Life and Meat Shield. Did I say Raise Life? Raise Spectre, Minion Life, and Meat Shield. The ideal minion setup for this, I want to say, is so Hulking Miscreation here. This loud annoying asshole here is actually very good for this build. Because he gives you... Oh, I'm trying to think of... I believe he gives your constructs 30% increased attack and cast speed. He also summons constructs, but 30% increased attack and cast speed for your constructs. Blink Arrow and Mirror Arrow are classified as constructs. So therefore, this is actually... he is a very good buff for them. I also would probably grab a... ideally a Perfect Warlord, because those guys give Vitality, give a pretty high level of Vitality, and also give Endurance charges, so I would say a Perfect Warlord would also be very nice. And then you're probably third that you would round it out with would be... Oh, man. I had it earlier, and now I'm forgetting, so that is also my bad. It'll be in the POV, but there is a good third Spectre to have, but there are plenty of good ones. There's the Primal Thunderbird, which gives you high level Grace, so then you don't have to run Grace. There's the Perfect Tiger, which also gives haste, so then we don't have to run haste. So anything to just kind of remove auras from us is also a big benefit. So really, tons of options to go around as far as the Spectre field goes. This monkey here, I believe, does share frenzy charges. I couldn't remember if they do. There is also the power charge monkey. I also can't recall if that guy shares charges anymore, because I think they changed it and then I can't remember what happened. Anyway, so there's lots of changes you could do with that. Ideally, in this fourth slot here, you would instead have an animated guardian as well. You do AG, have an AG set up, and all that good stuff. And yeah, and then we have our blink arrow here. Blink arrow, I do think, can just sit on a 4-link, and if you want to, you could throw your auras instead into a 6-link and throw an enlighten in with them. But yeah, we have blink arrow, GMP, but you could probably change this out for culling strike, chance to poison still, just because giving them more damage is good. And fresh meat, instead of fresh meat, I would just do minion damage instead, because they don't last for nearly as long enough for fresh meat to really do anything. Boot-wise, we just have Precision, Grace, and Offering in here. Spirit Offering again, or crit, is good. And then gloves, we have Despair, just lower Chaos Res. You could also put on Assassin's Mark if you wanted to go that route. That is up to you. Frostblink just for movement, Desecrate, and Haste, just because, again, we want them to attack faster. And increases to their attack speed also, affect you. But it's also just very good. Desecrate, and just because for Spirit Offering, of course. I mean, place map, bam. So that's our skill gem setup. Bow-wise here, basically, you just want to try to spam Essence of Fear onto a bow, onto a spine bow. And ideally, you just hit something, if not, it's still better than this, but it could be something similar to this, really. You just want the minions deal damage, you want it to have increased fizz. The global multi is good. You want it to probably have generic increased critical strike chance, just to apply to the implicit. Increased attack speed is good for it. Chaos damage added is good for it. Added fizz damage is good for it. Level Socket Gems is fine. I think just getting it better flat added is better. And then runecraft wise, you can of course use the minions deal 32% increased damage. If you wanted to go one step beyond that, you could get a shaper bow, which a shaper spine bow then allows you to get the one for, I believe it's crit chance or multi, and then also gives you a chance to gain a power charge on crit, which then applies to your minions, so then they would be getting power charges for themselves, which is very, very good. Helmet wise, we're just looking for generic helmet, life, resistances, and +2 to minion skill level gems, of course. That's what we're looking for in a helmet. Vile Arrow Quiver, again, very strong. We are stacking fizz damage, so fizz is extra is great. We want additional fizz damage to it, chaos damage, crit chance, increased damage with bows, max life, crit, attack speed, all that kind of good stuff. There's tons of very valuable things. One thing that is critical as well is also being able to get, especially once you get rid of, like your monkey here, if you have a monkey that's generating frenzy charges, you could get the craft to instead, puts, frenzy, sorry, I'm spacing out a little bit. It's global crit chance to gain a frenzy charge on, I believe on crit as well. So you just have that, and then your minions will be generating, your BAMA guys will be generating both power and frenzy charges. Good grief, I'm struggling. Chess piece wise, same thing. We're basically just looking for life, resistances, all that kind of good stuff with it. There are, I'm sure, plenty of other options out there as far as that goes, and then we're just going to influence these with Eldritch and Eater, as we will with probably most Argyras. Just Eldritch and Eater is pretty much the only thing that really matters. Same thing over here on Onyx. Onyx is just, life resistances and levels to gems where applicable. Glove wise, again, actually gloves. So gloves are an interesting one. We can essence craft these. You can essence craft gloves with essences of fear as well, which does give your minions more damage. Then you would just be looking for resistances life on them, pretty much is it. And then you could do an Eldritch and Eater on them again. I believe there is a minion damage implicit, or there's a minion something implicit for gloves that is good. But the other thing that you can do that is also extremely good is you could get yourself a pair of triad grips that have been they have to, I believe it has to be double corrupt. Well, it doesn't have to be, but it has to be corrupted to have 4 white sockets. They aren't as common anymore because they changed the drop. They changed how the corrupted items drop from rares happen, so there isn't quite as many just for, you know, just a drop of triad grips that have 4 white sockets on them. So it's a lot harder now. You have to pretty much double corrupt and make it yourself is kind of the most ideal. I don't even know that there's another good way to get 4 white sockets on the thing anymore. You could the only other thing is you could, I think, Omen of Blanching and then Harvest Craft and hope that it hits the 1. I think that's your other best bet. I really can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But that would probably be absolute best in slot, would be if you did the Triad Grip full setup type deal. Like I said, belt-wise, so what you want to do here is get yourself a Darkness Enthroned. Get yourself a Darkness Enthroned and put a Monomu's Gaze, and then just some other really good Gassy Eye Jewels. Things you're looking for in Gassy Eye Jewels are kind of something like this, you know, attack cast speed, added Fizz damage, added Chaos damage, chance to poison if you really want to. I think we have 100% chance to poison, and we get a ton from our Ascendancy anyway, so that's less of a big deal, honestly. And then just as much flat damage as you can that is not elemental, pretty much. More life on them, resistances, whatever else you need to cover from there. Boot-wise, also easy. Movement speed, life, resistances, bada bing, bada boom. Bob's your uncle, you're good. Rings, we try to get 2 bone rings if you can. Just get 2 decent bone rings, more attack cast speed, minions deal increased damage, something along those lines, and then you should be in a good spot as far as gearing goes. And yeah, that's kind of. I was trying to really rattle through this just because I didn't want to make this too terribly long. Like I said, I'll have the POB below if you want to just take a look at the POB instead. I'll try to add some notes and some other like gear recommendations and like other things to look for as you go onward. But yeah, ultimately this is probably as far as this character will go. It's been incredibly solid as I expected it to be. It's been really still fun to play. I've been having a really good time in the event, and it's been nice to have like a really good reason to play Path of Exile again. Honestly, I've definitely been missing some kind of fresh content. But like I said, I'll be moving on to a different character, and I'll if it goes well, then I'll make another video about that guy too, because why not? But yeah, hope YouTube, hope you're having a good time in the event. Hope you're having a good time in Phrecia, all that good stuff. I will throw out some more content as I come across it, but otherwise, I'm probably just waiting for patch 020 for Path of Exile 2, and then maybe I'll put out some stuff for that. But anyway, take care. See you next time. All that good stuff. Stay sane, Exiles. Goodbye.